This is John Kohler with growingyourgreens.com. Today I have another exciting episode for you. And you know what? I give up. I give up gardening. Not forever. Only for the summer season here. The weather's getting colder and things are not producing as fast. And you know, it's at this point where I'm actually just harvesting all the summer crops now and then replanting the winter crops. This is a dilemma you guys may have each and every year. It's like, man, John, how long do I leave my tomatoes or my peppers in? Well, I always encourage you guys to leave them in as long as you possibly can. I mean, there'd be some years that actually I'd leave them in and they'd frost outside, which is not a good thing because then you may lose the fruit and the produce you're making that's already on the plants outside. You know, so waiting too long is not good, but then you don't want to like harvest too early when you still might have another month. I mean, you wouldn't want to plant things out in May and then harvesting them in August. Well, I guess it depends where you live, because that might not be too long of a growing season. You know, we are here nearing the end of November, and I know the frost is coming soon, probably within the next 15 to 30 days, and this is always the gamble I play. What I'm harvesting today here is actually my peppers, and what I'm doing is, for most of my plants, I'm actually just uprooting the whole plant here. And as you guys can see, you got a lot of nice peppers on here. Well, I could actually dig some of these guys up and put them in a greenhouse and try to overwinter them, pull the peppers off and allow them to still grow. I'm going to focus on more cold tolerant varieties that I'm going to grow in the unheated greenhouse that'll still produce reliably. These peppers, you know, they may stay alive, but they won't produce during the cold winters in the greenhouse. But the kind that I like to grow in the greenhouse, and I have videos on it in the past, are the manzanos or ricotos. They're more cold tolerant. Even in the winter in an unheated greenhouse here, it's gonna flower and produce the peppers for me. Whereas these guys would just basically fight to stay alive. So what we're gonna do with all these peppers, because I do have a lot of them, is I'm gonna be eating a lot of peppers for dinner. But besides that, I'm actually gonna be dehydrating them for the winter. Stay tuned and be sure to subscribe to my videos for a future video on, you know, my favorite way to preserve my food, which is food dehydration. Besides just the harvesting and when you should harvest, and it depends on the season and it depends on your schedule. Like if you're going on a big vacation, you know you're going to be out of town and it's going to freeze probably while you're out of town. You're going to probably want to pull this up earlier instead of later. Another thing that I want to do is, you know, as the days get shorter, the nights get colder, right? I should have probably already planted out my fall garden like, you know, a couple weeks ago, maybe even a month ago, because the longer you let your summer crops in, especially in a limited space, right? We're talking front yard, residential garden. The longer time you let your summer crops grow, the less time you'll have for your fall and winter crops. And the problem arises that for me, actually, in past years is when I've let my summer crops go so long into like December, and then I finally pull them, and then I finally put my transplants in, you know, the weather's already so cold, it's not getting as much sunlight. My winter plants don't have a chance to fully develop. You know, if you put in your winter plants or your fall crops a little bit earlier, they're going to get to be a nice big size. And by the time it gets really cold and then there's not a lot of sun, you know, they're going to be at a nice size to grow. If they're still really small when the cold hits and when it gets really colder, they're going to, you know, not grow as fast and they're not going to produce a reliable, you know, a good quantity source of food for you guys. So besides this fact, I also want to share with you guys just some of the other things happening in my garden actually at this time to show you guys. So the next thing I want to show you guys is actually the cucumber. So I'm growing two kinds of cucumbers, what you guys would know as a standard cucumber, including, you know, pickling cucumbers and lemon cucumbers. But I'm also growing some awesome Bolivian cucumbers, also called Achachas. So let's take a look at those next and share with you guys actually what is growing actually much better than the other at this time. Now we're looking at my standard cucumbers. Actually, my favorite cucumbers to grow are the lemon cucumbers. As you guys can see, these look like little lemons, and I like these kind of cucumbers because they don't have that bitter kind of like skin taste, much more mild, you know, like your standard market more cucumbers here. This season I've also grown the little pickling cucumbers, and I've also grown the Armenians. The Armenians tend to do well in like warm climates, but I find the lemons do the best here. As you guys can see, this is loaded with tons of lemon cucumbers, and I know what some of you guys might be thinking, John, you let those go too long. Because optimally for the lemon cucumbers, what you want to do is you want to harvest them when they're this color. Check it out. This is a nice color for eating when the seeds inside are still nice and mature. If you let them get to this color, you know, they're a lot more mature. So the seeds are really hard in there. But guess what? If you're saving seeds like me, you want it fully mature so you can save the seeds. Another thing I'll do with the mature ones besides saving the seeds is I will juice them. They make an amazing juice, especially when juiced with leafy greens and some apple, maybe some lemon and just a tad of ginger. And I've also actually made a lactic acid fermented lemon cucumber juice. So check my past videos for that to see how to do that exactly. Any case, the point of this was to show you guys the vines here. I mean, we are getting cold in the nights. It's now in the 40s and pretty soon to be in the 30s. And you know, I did have a bout with the white powdery mildew, but these guys just look tore up. Now, yes, while these guys are still flowering a little bit and putting on some babies, the production for all practical purposes has stopped and it's time to remove these vines. As much as I like the standard cucumbers and I always encourage you guys to grow a genetic variety, you know, I grew a small patch of these guys this year, but I focused more on the Bolivian cucumbers because of one main reason: the health of the plants and its resistance to bugs, disease, and the weather. So let's take a look at those guys next. So these are the cucumbers I'm really excited about. I grew a few plants, like 3 or 4 plants last year for fun, and it yielded tons of fruit, tons of seeds, and more importantly, a lot of volunteers that I dug up and replanted them where I wanted to. Now, they don't necessarily like being replanted, but they've still done fine, as you guys can see. We put up a single trellis along the middle of this 4-foot raised bed. It's 4 foot wide and 15 feet deep. And as you guys can see, this is literally made an Achacha wall. If you do live in somewhere where it doesn't get any freezes, you know, South Florida, you could probably just grow this as a year-round vine. I mean, this filled in really nice, and this is like totally in layers. It's like layer and layer and layer upon leaves. I mean, this thing, if we just go back into it, is like, you know, at least 8 inches deep, no, maybe even a foot deep of just Achacha vines. And if we go in there, we could see the ones at different stages. So here's like the little leaf, and I want to compare really quick for you guys the leaf of the standard cucumber. The standard cucumber leaf's kind of like, you know, a yellowish, kind of has got some disease spots. This guy, I mean, this whole thing is just still vibrant green. Now, we could leave this and it'll last pretty long here, but still it'll finally succumb to cold weather. This cucumber is more cold tolerant, but not frost tolerant, than the standard cucumber. So if you live in a protected environment, maybe like Oakland, Fremont, where it doesn't get super cold, or San Jose, you may be able to actually overwinter this in the ground and keep it growing year round, which would be definitely really cool. Now, let's go ahead and show you guys the fruit this makes. You guys saw the regular fruits from the cucumber. You know, here's the little flowers, and one of the things I want to show you guys, because you won't be able to see it too good on the video there, these are the little flowers, and these guys, they take a while to start setting fruit. So don't be alarmed if you plant this and, John, my Achachas are growing and it's been growing and the vine's 20 feet long now and there's no fruit on it. Don't worry, man. It likes to put out a lot of vines and get totally solid in its place, and then finally it'll start busting out the fruit. And when it busts it out, it'll start busting out real good. So here's one of the little baby fruits here, and on each little area it might produce a couple fruits. And this is what it looks like. It's really small. I don't know if you guys will be able to see the definition on the camera there, but when they're this small, I pretty much just like to pick them and eat them. I mean, this is about the size of a little bit larger than a BB. For those of you guys that have BB guns, maybe you need the girls. And then if we go back here further, let's see if we can find some mature pods. All right, so here's a more mature pod. So as a pod matures, it gets kind of like a white color. And when it gets kind of white, while you could still eat this, you're just going to eat the outside now. You're not going to eat the whole thing. This is kind of like hollow, like a bell pepper, right? And it kind of tastes between a cucumber and a bell pepper, you know, reminiscently. But of course, it tastes like its own thing. And then inside, you're going to have a little seed pod thing like this. And the black seeds are developed seeds, and the white ones are probably still not mature and not fully developed. And then inside, you know, these are just, you're basically eating the outside. nice and crunchy. I guess in South America, where this is from, they stuff it like you would stuff a bell pepper. I kind of like to juice them or just actually eat them out of hand. Achacha. Definitely one of my favorite plants to grow. Plus, it's different. If you have people like in your front yard trying to steal stuff to eat, I mean, they might go and get your regular cucumbers, maybe even your lemon cucumbers, because they might know what that is. But this thing, man, this thing looks all gnarly. People aren't going to eat this. That looks poisonous, man. Don't eat it. Just kidding. These are totally edible, totally good. Water rich too. The next thing I want to show you guys, which is actually a plant that is going to remain in the ground for the fall and winter and continue to produce for me, is this guy right here. You're like, John, what is that thing, man? It's pretty huge. Well, this is what happens when you use the power of composted wood chips. Check it out. This is actually my Swiss chard plant. I challenge anybody. Check it out how big this thing is, man. It's bigger than my head. Peekaboo, I see you. This thing is gigantic, man. It's huge. I've never grown Swiss chard this big ever before until this season. What did I do different? Well, you're going to have to check back my episodes. It's called Supersize Your Vegetables with Wood Chips and Rock Dust. Now, while I don't process my own wood chips here, I do buy a fungal-dominated wood chip compost to put in my beds. And I've enriched all my beds, you know, some beds more than others, with the wood chip compost. And it really makes your plants go wild and grow bigger. Think about it, man. In this one leaf, you could make a super gigantic wrap for a family, like if you wrapped it with guacamole and pico de gallo salsa or nut pate or whatever. And it's all because of two things mainly, but also a lot of other things I do. The fungal dominated compost, which most people are not using, and that's why you don't normally see plants this big. Number two, what I got behind me here, the azomite or the rock dust. Actually, I have two different kinds. You have the Gaia Green Glacial Rock Dust and the standard azomite. So I want to encourage you guys always to, you know, strive for growing Swiss chard leaves this big, you know, by building up your soil. Be sure to check my other videos online for how to build your soil and actually what I did before this growing season to get these amazing Swiss chard leaves. The last part of this video today is I want to share two things. Number one, I want to share my fig tree with you, and then actually behind me we have persimmons, and on the borders of the property I have about a fruit tree every 6 feet, and this kind of like provides some privacy and also provides me with fruit. And I have different kinds of fruit trees, from pineapple guavas, pomegranates, figs, sweet gummies, actually that are actually starting to flower now. That's really cool. And my persimmons. Now, the thing I want to share with you guys when purchasing any fruit trees is you want to ensure you get a variety of fruit that's going to do well in your area. So don't just go to your big box store, Home Depot, Lowe's, and oh, they got fruit trees, let's buy one. Do your research first. A fruit tree is an investment that's going to be on your property for many years. I mean, a fig tree could live 100+ years. I mean, I've gone in like a canopy of one single fig tree that you could literally walk under, and the thing is huge, man. Produces for years and years. So you want to take the time to get a variety that's going to produce well and reliably for you. Another thing you're going to want to do is make sure you build the soil up. You know, some people's figs in this area are done producing, but because I believe I have a good soil and good microbiology in the soil, and good rock dust minerals in the soil, my tree's able to produce longer for a longer period of time than most people's, and it's allowed the tree to be a lot healthier. You know, I do have this variety fig right here, which is actually called the Janus seedless fig, and check it out, man. This is like a seedless fig, nice and gooey. Here we are eating a November fig. Oh. It's too good, man. Anyways, I have another fig on the other side of the yard that I just kind of bought indiscriminately because I was at the Home Depot and it's this fig tree. I'm like, oh yeah, I want a fig tree. I planted it, and that doesn't, you know, produce figs for beans. It needs a little bit more heat than this one. So before you buy any fruit tree, check with other farmers, check with other growers, check with other gardeners in your area, and see, hey, what varieties of fig trees do you have planted? Do they produce well? Or any kind of fruit tree. You want to get trees that are going to produce well for you. The other thing I highly encourage you guys to do is plant uncommon trees and fruits that will more better meet your needs. For example, a friend the other day asked me, John, should I plant a fig tree or a persimmon tree? And I said, man, that's not a choice. The choice is easy. It's a fig tree. Why? If you go to buy figs at the store, right, how much are they? $6 a pound, $7 a pound for organic figs. And if you go buy persimmons at the store, well, depending on where you live, they still might be $3 a pound. But in general, persimmons in this area are a dime a dozen. The figs are much more exotic. The other factor you may want to consider is how will the fruit store? Can you freeze them? Today I was actually freezing persimmons and dehydrating persimmons. The figs, I never have any left over at the end of the season because I eat them all out of hand. They're just so delicious. So you also got to look at, what's valuable to you. Another thing that's important to me is actually buying unique and rare varieties of fruit trees to save the genetic diversity, plus to have different flavor sensations that literally money can't buy, like the sweet gomi behind me. Like, I don't know, probably anybody else in this city that's growing that plant, maybe one city over. But, plus this is also really good because then people, if they're trying to go on your land and pick your fruits, they're not going to know what the heck these exotic things are, if they're poisonous or edible. And in most cases, if they don't know what it is, they're not going to eat it. So anyways, that brings me to the end of this episode. Hope you guys enjoy this episode, learning more about the end of season and when to pull your stuff up. Also about the cucumbers and, growing larger with wood chips and rock dust and selecting the proper fruit tree for your environment. Once again, my name is John Kohler with growingyourgreens.com. We'll see you next time. And remember, keep on growing.